Welcome to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where your host, Mary Noble Braden, will introduce you to Swannanoa Valley's most interesting and most iconic individuals.
Let's give 'em something to talk about.
Hello to all you beautiful people out there. This is Mary Noble Braden on the Mountain Magnolia Radio Show. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the show today and remind y'all our focus here is to reveal the heart and soul of our beautiful community here in Western North Carolina. And every week I love to share a quote or just a magnolia moment that's opened our hearts. And today's quote is, "Food is a memory. Every flavor tells the story where we come from and who we love." And this was written by Unknown. Okay, well, that kind of goes with our show today. And I am so excited to get to interview Beatriz Martinez-Sperry, aka Betty, from Cousins Cuban Café. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for having me. And I love that quote. It touches my heart, and it touches everything that my cafe has been from the beginning. I love it.
Isn't it true? Isn't it true that every flavor tells the story where we come from and who we love?
Absolutely. And if I could share a story with you, and this is one of many times since I opened the cafe that I had a couple here, and he's Cuban, and he hadn't had flan, which is a typical dessert, for a very long time. So I brought him a flan, and him and his wife are tasting it, and I come to the table, and he has tears coming down his eyes.
Aww.
And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "This just reminded me of what my grandmother used to make for me, the flan, and it just flooded me with so many memories." So it's true. I mean, it could be our grandmothers, our mothers, a moment in time, but food is a connection.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. Me being from the South, it's one of those things where if I go to a certain place, I'm like, oh, I have to have this, because you want that memory.
Exactly.
You want. I spent a lot of time on the Gulf Coast, and I want to have crab dip, or for Thanksgiving, I want cheese grits.
Right.
But it's amazing how it opens our hearts and keeps us
Absolutely.
connected to our ancestors.
And that's what happened here. When I was coming up with the menu, it was obviously the first thing I thought of are the dishes that I grew up with in my house and that my mom made and my grandmother made. And it's just like, for example, picadillo, which again is a peasant dish, so they called it back in Cuba. But growing up, we would have that with white rice and a fried egg on top. And I have it on the menu, and everybody just, again, loves it.
It's my favorite.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to really get started on this interview and learn so much about you. But I do want, before we start, and we'll talk about it towards the end too, guys, if you're listening to this show, Betty is having a 5-year anniversary for Cousins Cuban Café, Friday, October 17th, from 5 to 8. This is an open house. This is a time to really celebrate Cousins and also all the wonderful people that have made this happen. Do you want to say anything about the open house?
Yes. This community, our Black Mountain community, our Asheville community, all of Western North Carolina, but from the moment I opened, they just loved us, and they've been so supportive, and I could not have gotten to these 5 years without them. So that's why I wanted to do like a celebration. Come in, we're going to have mojitos.
I love that.
Which is, of course, your typical Cuban drink. We're also going to have a drink called Cuba Libre. I don't know if you've ever heard that. And that's basically rum and Coke and some lime.
I'm going to have some mojito. Do you need mint? I have so much mint.
Oh, yes.
I'm
that
talking
would be wonderful
tons.
because the mojito takes...
Okay. I have so much mint.
And it's still good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, bring it by.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I want an open house for if you could come in, stop in for a moment, say hi, have a drink with us, have a little appetizer. And I just I'm so grateful for everybody.
Well, you know what? It is a beautiful thing, and I think it's reciprocated because one of my questions I had actually is, do you feel like this community is similar to maybe one of the communities that you lived in, Miami, or your ancestors lived in Cuba? Because there's some common denominator, and it goes both ways.
Exactly.
You're the heart and soul of our community, and so are your guests that come and enjoy your food here.
Yes, absolutely. And I do feel, I wasn't born in Cuba, but what I hear from Cuba, and it was a very tight-knit community where my family lived, and they were just supporting each other, going to each other's homes, and food, like Italians, like most, like Southern food, is really what brings people together. So I was a little apprehensive in the beginning, honestly, because there's not a lot of ethnic foods in this town, and I know that a lot of people know Cuban food, but I was just, okay, I think everybody is ready for this and they're going to love it. And I remember we opened the year of COVID 2020, so it took us a little longer to open than we had planned. And I received this card, and I still have it. It's from a community member. I don't know who it is. They didn't sign their name, but it was this beautiful card just saying, "Welcome to Black Mountain. We are so excited for you to open," just this warmth. And again, to this day, I don't know who they are. And so this is how it just started, and so from day one, people have just been coming in and loving it. So that took away my initial fear of like, are they going to love Cuban food, or, how that acceptance was going to be.
Well, and the food is so good here. Let's just talk about on a daily basis. I know a lot of people come in for espressos.
Exactly.
And besides the menu, you also have empanadas, right?
Yes, we have a pastry case, and that's very typical of Cuban food. And in there, we have it stocked right first thing when we open up in the morning. And we have what we call pastelitos, which is a puff pastry. And guava is a tropical fruit that we put in everything, pretty much.
Wow.
So we have the guava pastelito. So we make it almost like a jam. Okay. And we have guava pastelito, guava and cheese. We also have empanadas that are savory, that everybody loves, like the chicken or the beef. So we have croquetas, I have to mention that, which are like little fritters, little ham fritters. So you walk into the cafe and you see that case. We sell out. Everybody kind of knows by now. You have to get in there early because we sell out.
So you can either get coffee and a pastry, or you can order from the menu.
Exactly. Yeah. And the menu, our number one item is, of course, the Cuban sandwich, because everybody just knows it and loves it. And I get compliments that it's better than in Miami, or it's the best Cuban sandwich that they've ever had. And, I take that.
Well, let's talk about that Cuban sandwich.
Okay.
So tell us what is on the Cuban sandwich.
So the Cuban sandwich is, of course, Cuban bread, and then it has mustard, pickles, ham, Swiss cheese, and pork.
Yeah.
So a lot of places, try to reinvent it, and they'll put spicy mustard and all that, but the authentic is this way. The way I have given a little twist on it is, instead of doing sliced pork, which is, again, the traditional recipe, I do pulled pork. And I joke and I say it's because I'm in North Carolina and everybody has pulled pork, right? But the flavors of the
You're
pork... You're
improvising.
Exactly. You're just adding a different touch to it. So the flavors that we put in the pork are a lot of garlic and, sour oranges and lime. So it has the unique Cuban taste to it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Okay, so a couple other questions. We talked about the similarity between Black Mountain and maybe a town in Cuba, but what inspired you to open this cafe here in Black Mountain?
Well, we had moved up to this area from Miami, and my cousins also, without planning it, also moved to the area. So I had the experience of having a restaurant in Miami with my mom, and my cousins wanted to open up a gift store, an art store. So really, my one cousin in particular said, I miss our Cuban food up here. You got to do a Cuban restaurant. And it just turned out great because my cousin bought both of these buildings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they had the Dancing Dragonfly in here for about 5 years. And I had the cafe, or have the cafe next door. And in January, they decided to move back to Florida, and she knew I needed to expand because luckily we get packed in there all the time. So having this second space has really, I think, helped a lot as far as customers are more comfortable. There's more areas to sit. This room here is a little quieter and moodier.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a lot more guests as well.
Yeah, so really it was kind of having my cousins here and then them saying, we think you need to bring our Cuban cuisine to the area. So it's really how it started.
It all worked out like it was supposed to.
Exactly. It always does.
So, how did you develop your menu, and are any of the recipes passed down through family or reimagined for the local palate?
Well, a lot of it is dishes that I grew up with, and I'm not really, as a chef and cook, I'm not a recipe follower. You can understand that, right?
Yes.
So I know the flavors that I wanted, and when I first opened, I was in the kitchen and I was developing all the recipes, and I wasn't really writing anything down. But then after about 6 months, I realized, well, Betty, if you want to get out of the kitchen a little bit, you need to start writing these recipes down. So I would say they're the recipes, again, and the flavors that I grew up with, but I did give them my own little twist. And I think the biggest changes or adaptations that I made to this market is offering a lot of vegan and vegetarian options, because again, that's not typical Cuban. We have pork and everything. But I knew because of the area that there was a need for that, and there's not a lot of choices for vegan or vegetarians.
Which is great.
For example, I have jackfruit, and I put jackfruit in a Cuban sandwich and make a vegan Cuban sandwich. Or you could have any dish with jackfruit. I always joke and I say my grandmother's probably rolling in her grave saying, "What is jackfruit? Get jackfruit." But no, it's really, I think that's my biggest adaptation to the area. Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit. Do you see food as a bridge between cultures? So the cultures in Cuba, Miami,
absolutely,
as well in Black Mountain.
Yes, and there's actually a lot of visitors in the area that come from Miami, and there's also a lot of people that have moved to Asheville and Black Mountain from Miami, and again, they miss the Cuban food. I think that's what everybody misses when you leave Miami. So,
I mean, I really haven't had that much Cuban food. I mean, and I've been to all types of restaurants, but I love coming here. And I was telling you earlier, one of my favorite dishes is the
picadillo.
Yes, and it has the ground beef, olives, and raisins. And I'm not an olive eater, but I love the combination of the
sweet and briny.
Yeah, it's so good. And then plantains.
Sweet plantains. All our dishes come with sweet plantains and rice and beans. And that's so typical. And yes, we do a lot of sweet and savory.
Oh, it's my favorite. Okay, so what dish do you recommend to someone visiting for the first time?
I would say our Mojo Pork Bowl, because again, pork is really the staple of Cuban cuisine, and it's the way we prepare it, and we slow cook it all night, so it's just really tender, and I think that's the first bite that one should have, our pork.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is probably our most popular besides the Cuban sandwich.
Okay. And you already answered the next question, which was how do you balance authenticity with adapting to local tastes? Which you said your grandmother might or your mom might be like roll over and say, "What are you doing?" I think you said your grandmother,
right? My grandmother,
yeah, to make these vegan options, but that's really, really clever of you.
And also for breakfast, because Cubans don't have like a typical breakfast. We usually have pastries or empanadas for breakfast with our coffees. So I did come up with quite a bit of breakfast bowls. Like I wanted to name something after Miami, so I did the Miami Brunch Bowl, and it's beans with fried eggs. And so I love being creative, and I love that I've been able to do it. My menu isn't huge. There are so many things that I would have loved to put there, but not only do I want to keep it kind of just more concise, there's just a lot of products that I couldn't get up here that I got in Miami easier.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's a good balance too. When I come in here, I'm like, oh, okay, I can have some protein and I can have veggies. You know, I mean, that's what I need to do. What I always do it's not, you know, that way. But this, I'm like, oh, I can make some good choices here.
Right,
and
that's
so,
what we try.
Yeah,
You know, that's why we have the salad that you could put proteins on it. Or I added last year, it's called the Cubanita Bowl, and it's the simplest dish. 2 fried eggs on top of white rice with plantains. We grew up also having that. That was like our go-to meal. So I was just, when I added it, oh my, I couldn't believe how popular it is. And I think it's also because people want eggs all day, you know, so we do end breakfast at 11. So it gives them an option to have that.
It's so good. So what kind of atmosphere were you hoping to create when people walk in this door?
So really I wanted them to not only feel the love and the good energy that I feel it's in here. Like my staff is incredible, and I've always wanted them to come to work and feel happy and love being here, and I think that reflects foremost, but also I wanted them to come in here and really experience a piece of our culture, of the Cuban culture, and to feel, oh, this is really authentic. But another thing, before I opened up, I had a few people walking by that they were up here from Miami, and they're like, is that really authentic? And is there really a Cuban in there? Is that really? Like, yeah, let me show my passport or something. I don't know. But they were, you know, so I just want them to have not only great food, but just feel the history and the love of where this comes from. And again, I feel like I have a responsibility to my ancestors, because that's why I have the picture wall over there, and it's my parents' wedding. It's all the pictures when they were in Cuba, because they literally had to leave. My mom was pregnant with me in 1961 when they left Cuba, and my 3 older sisters were born in Cuba, and I was conceived there. And they had a beautiful life there, but they just, when Castro came into power, they just had all they could bring was a suitcase and pictures.
Wow.
And leave their, you know, successful and beautiful life behind. So as I've gotten older and as I'm doing this, and at the end of the day, I look at that picture wall and it makes me emotional, but I say, you know, I hope I've done you proud.
Oh, you have. That is
But because, you know, yeah.
And they built a beautiful life here as well.
They did.
You know,
yes.
what that's crazy to be able to see, like, okay, we're leaving, and look what they instilled in you.
No, they're incredible. I say that generation that, you know, and most of them got to Miami, and they were lawyers and doctors back in Cuba, and they were cleaning tables in Miami. Mm-hmm. So that was fine, but we all went to college, and we all had a beautiful life. And like I told you earlier, my mom's 93 years old, and she's up here with me, and she comes to the cafe, and she's my harshest critic.
Hey, listen.
But she's looking around, and she's making sure I'm doing things right.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, when I come in here, and I visit this place at least twice a month, and just the energy, your staff is so polite, and everything is quick. It's just kind of this bustling cafe with good food. And it's funny, I don't really I don't drink coffee that much, and so when I come in here, I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll get a espresso or something where I feel like I'm in Cuba, you know.
Right.
And so it really is a magical place where people can feel like they're in part of your culture. And so thank you for sharing that here in our little sweet town, Black Mountain.
I love this little sweet town, and I thank you and everybody else again. I'm so appreciative, and I try to get back to the community through different ways. So I hope everybody feels the love back.
Oh, they do. You've done an amazing job.
Thanks,
and so
Mary.
thanks for supporting. So, all right, well, let's talk a little bit about this coming Friday. We talked a little bit. She's going to have an open house with fresh mojitos.
Yes, absolutely.
And
with your mint.
Yes, my great grandmother's mint.
I love that.
And appetizers.
Yes, and we'll be passing around some typical Cuban appetizers
And 5 to 8, and this is an appreciation for all your beautiful customers that have supported you for the last 5 years.
absolutely, and for our staff too, to relax and enjoy themselves as well.
Yeah, and feel special.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a story.
It is, and I never really thought that I'd be doing this in Black Mountain, honestly, but like the circle of life and brought us here, and it's been a beautiful experience.
It isn't amazing what things happen, which Betty reminded me that PBS did a story on
Yes, PBS North Carolina. Yes. I think it's going to air tomorrow at 9.
Well, we can do both, can't we?
We certainly
So
can.
we can. So
Exactly.
you guys, tonight you all will be listening to this show on the radio, and then tomorrow on the podcast. So we'll also talk about that, which is going to be amazing.
I know. I was so honored, and that was a great experience. They came a month and a half ago, and they were here for 4 hours, and they spoke to customers, they spoke to my staff, they took great pictures, spoke to me. So yeah, any time I could speak to anybody, this is just as wonderful as well.
Yeah, I'm just glad that you're going to get that promotion, that made
Yeah,
that
that's
publicity,
unbelievable.
where we can talk about your open house, and then the North Carolina PBS show, and then you get to be on the radio tonight, and then the podcast.
Yes,
So,
what a way to celebrate 5 years. Amazing.
yes, wonderful. Okay, so some of the last, before we end the show, is there anything else you would like to share before I ask the closing question?
The closing question. I think we've covered it all.
Okay. Well, so a closing question is that I ask my guests to share one thing with the audience that has changed their life for the better.
I would have to say it is when we moved to North Carolina, my husband and I, 13 years ago. And we're not young, but we were in our late 50s, and we wanted to just start something different. And really our experiences here and the people that we've met, and again, opening the cafe and having been able and blessed to do this, has really changed our lives for the better.
Oh, I love that.
So
That's great.
mhm.
Well, your story keeps on getting better and better. So good job.
Thank you,
Good job
Mary.
for
Yeah,
really.
here's to another 5 years, right?
Yeah,
At
that's
least.
right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you so much being on the show. I can't wait to step in here for a little bit on Friday night and experience all the culture and love of our community. And so thank you. And guys, just a reminder, you guys can find the Mountain Magnolia Show on Spotify and also Apple, and on Bigfoot 103.9, and the show will air tonight
Okay.
on the radio.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you for all you do for our community.
Oh, yes, Betty, it was so nice connecting. Well, guys, I just want to thank you guys for listening to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where we reveal the heart and soul of our community. And I do want to say that it has been a lovely ride connecting with Bigfoot 103.9. But I will have one more show with them, and then you guys can listen to the Mountain Magnolia on Spotify or Apple. I'm not going anywhere. And I have really, really enjoyed our time, Cameron, on the radio, and I appreciate you and everybody at Bigfoot. So if y'all are missing Mountain Magnolia and want to continue to listen to it, remember to tune in to Spotify or Apple. All right, I hope everyone has a beautiful week, and until next time, this is Mary Noble on the Mountain Magnolia Show.
Thank you for joining us for Mountain Magnolias with your hosts, Mary Noble Braden. Join us next time for more interesting stories from the Swannanoa's most interesting people as we give you something to talk about.
Let's give 'em something to talk
Mountain Magnolias is a production of Noble & Company Realty in Black Mountain. For more information, please call them at 828-357-5243. 828-357-5243.